Helps if you turn the microphone on. All those technicalities around technology, I apologize. Welcome. Welcome to the 2018 Summer Hooding Ceremony for our MSW graduates. We're very pleased to have you here. We can imagine that it feels like you're graduating too, and so we appreciate you being here. And without any other further, I will introduce to you our 2018 summer graduates. Congratulations. My name is Carol Schneeweiss, and I'm the Distance Education Director for our Department of Social Work, and have been filling in this summer for Dr. Randy Nettergaard, our MSW Director, who had the nerve to move to California. So we aren't talking about how we really feel about that, but I know that he sends you, as does Dishana, their best regards for a great career as MSWs, and I know that it's important to them that you stay connected and that you see them as colleagues and as resources as you go forward. So from Randy and Deesh, I want to also say congratulations and welcome to all of you on behalf of Randy, who would have been here today if he could have. So without any further gab from me, I will introduce to you the chair of our department, Dr. Karen Lee Bargdahl.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's so great to see you. I want to also welcome all of the students, parents, loved ones who may be viewing this being streamed as well. We know you'd all be here if you could, and you're here with us in your hearts, distance students and campus students alike. And for you distance students who managed to make it here, I know some of you came from some ways away, so it's really wonderful to get to celebrate this with you today as well. I really do think of this as faculty payday, I have to tell you. I was thinking, my gosh, I'm going to my 14th year here now as chair. It's gone so fast. And North Dakota has been such a very wonderful home for me and my family and really embraced us. And I was just thinking about, I was trying to rush here, so some people know my kitty had a veterinary emergency this morning, so I missed the pinning, which I felt really bad about, but glad to be here for the hooding ceremony. I never, ever get tired of seeing students get to the end of their journey and get to this point. It's really daunting how much sacrifice our students make to get to this point these days. We know that you're carrying sometimes an absolutely really daunting amount of debt, that you have worked, often multiple jobs, that many of you are taking care of parents, children, other loved ones, and are stretched awfully thin to be here, especially our master students. We know that you also have made many sacrifices to get through your undergraduate and then made many more sacrifices to be graduate students. So I know it's getting harder and harder to get to this place, and please know how much our admiration and appreciation of what you do to get to this place, how much we talk about that, how much we acknowledge that, and how much we try to hold you to account on meeting some very high standards. This is graduate school, this is an academically based program, and you know we're dead serious about that stuff, and we push you out of your comfort zones, and that's a good thing. But we also know how much you're trying to balance through that journey, and so it's my hope that we've shown you the same kinds of empathy, compassion, and flexibility and accountability that we know that you're going to also ask of your clients as well on your journeys with them. So we know you're well prepared. We know what it takes to get here, and we applaud you for being here this day. So many of you know a little bit about me, although I don't get to teach much anymore. And I do get to teach a policy class in the summer, so my head's very wrapped around that right now because we just had our last class Tuesday night. And that's been a wonderful group of students, and they're getting ready to head into field. And I, of course, want to really exhort you to be advanced generalists in your journey. Some of you are going into very highly clinical jobs, maybe mental health jobs, maybe doing a lot of one-on-one work or work with groups. Others of you will be having opportunities in your career to do more work at the community level and at the policy level, but Wherever your career takes you, and we know that social work is wonderful because it's so incredibly versatile, and you'll have many, many journeys, and probably work with a number of populations if the statistics hold true about social workers. We hope that you'll remain advanced generalists in your heart, whatever you specialize in over the years with your work. And know that whatever role you're in, how important it is to make those policy connections, because policy governs almost every aspect of our clients' lives, and especially where vulnerable populations are concerned. We need to sometimes work for and on behalf of, but I really want us to think about ways that we can do more with them. So I've been very passionate about the kinds of disenfranchisement I've been seeing among vulnerable populations. I started one of my journeys to social work, interestingly, being involved with the League of Women Voters. This is back 100 years ago and in another state, right? But there is a real deep and lasting connection between the social justice mandate that social workers have. And that's a unique thing. Our profession, and some of your loved ones may not know this, they're here with you, our ethical code mandates that we uplift social, economic, and now environmental justice. That's not just something that we care about philosophically, but we're mandated to do in our work. So when we think about how that can't be accomplished when people are disenfranchised, when they truly don't have a voice, when they're not voting or prevented from voting, when they are not engaged in civic life, I'll ask you to take that passion out with you to practice and think about ways that we can walk more with clients in these kinds of roles and how therapeutic that can be for them to be meaningfully engaged in being their own advocates for change. So I think we've come to a time that we haven't seen in social work. And I used to give this speech, I know some of the faculty have heard me say that. I often talk about when macro practice was more ascendant in social work, and when it's more ascendant is when there are more societal challenges. And so I always knew that when we would see a greater interest in and a greater focus on macro social work was when our society was more challenged and troubled. So no one ever wishes for those times, but we're candidly in those times. So I'll ask you, wherever your journey's taking you, keep that macro practice training and passion and skills and knowledge and ethical pieces of that you've developed to connect to whatever your practice is and remain those passionate advocates, because we know it's great to help one person at a time, but it's not enough, and we must do more. And you do, and you will. So with that, I'll say congratulations on a job well done. We're so proud of you and so proud to call you social work colleagues. You're ready to work autonomously and independently as MSWs do. You're going to have some great opportunities in your careers. I hope each and every one of you is on the path to licensure as well, because that's really helpful in terms of professional status, pay, credibility, and career advancement. I know it's one more dang thing to do when you're tired, and one more expense, but I've really come to value that more and more over the years and what that brings to us. So if you haven't already taken the test, hope you're planning to, or that's on your radar, because it's really nice to take that while things are still fresh in your mind. Please keep in touch with us. We've got the Facebook page, and Brent is very great at keeping that up. We're always wanting to hear from you. Can we be a job reference from you? Can we talk to you about a career transition? Or some of you, and I know you are, thinking about doctoral programs. We really need people to have doctorates, especially in social work, and we'll help you. We'll talk to you about schools. We'll talk to you about how to apply for them, and we'll be references for you on that next leg in your journey. And I know most of you are going, okay, my eyes are glazing over. I'm here getting my MSW degree, and I took 2 years in my gap between my master's and my doctorate, and I thought, oh, I'm so fried, I'm never going back. I was done. But it's amazing how those things kind of tug and pull at you sometimes, and you realize, I have some more burning questions. And maybe you love training, and maybe you think, oh, and that research bug, that wanting to know things is kind of maybe appealing to me too. So maybe it will draw you back. Please know that if and when anything draws you back with a question for one of the faculty here, We're always your colleagues and friends. We want to help and support you, and we will answer that call and help you in any way we can. You're always part of that UND social work family. So go forth and do wonderful and brilliant and caring things and make the world a better place. Congrats.
Thank you, Karen Lee. Isn't it wonderful that you get the entire range from micro to macro? And not only do you get that opportunity, it's part of what we do as professions. So even if you go into micro practice, you're going to be looking at macro things, and so it will influence your clients. And what a great opportunity we have with all the doors that open because you have those skills across the system. So that's a great gift that social work gives you. Before we go too much further, I do want to acknowledge Brent Gerhardt. He is the person who puts together this whole ceremony. He didn't know when he took this job that he was going to be an event planner. And he's gotten very, very good at it. So I'd please like to acknowledge Brent and all his work. He's also the man on the phone when you call our department, and as always, if you need something, he'll find it for you. So we really appreciate that. Thank you, Brent. The next portion of our program is about our speakers. As students, you've identified a faculty member to be a speaker to give you a message as you go forth, and then a student who will represent you as well. So with that, I will introduce Dr. Ken Flanagan, who is your speaker today.
Well, good morning. It's so nice to see you here rather than behind a desk. So this is certainly a day of celebration. I'd like to begin by thanking you for inviting me to be your faculty speaker. I consider it an honor to have the opportunity to say a few words in a few pages as you prepare to go out into the world as newly minted MSWs. And so I thank you for asking me to say a few words, and hopefully there's a few nuggets that you can take with you as you continue your journey. And I guess you could entitle my remarks with the words, well, you did it. Some of you probably wondered if you'd be here this morning. Can't believe that it's almost a year since many of us first met, and for some of you, a bit longer than a few months since beginning this journey. I'm sure you were wondering how things would go and what this new academic journey would bring. And what it's brought you is this MSW, and we are certainly here to celebrate with you the honor that you are receiving. And one of the ways we celebrate this accomplishment of yours is by showing up today in academic regalia for this hooding ceremony. The main purpose of the ceremony is to provide the hood to you, our graduates. And so it begs the question, what is the meaning of a hood, and what is the purpose of the hooding ceremony that we hold here prior to commencement exercises? So I went to Webster's, and I looked up the definition of a hood. And one of Webster's definitions is that it's a protective covering for the head and face, something meant to protect. Now, a hood is something I've become very familiar with in these North Dakota winters, since I've been through about 10 of them now. So they certainly become a very practical and useful piece of apparel during those winter months. However, that's a definition that has no relationship to the hood or the hooding ceremony that we are participating in today. Rather, the hood you receive today has a very different meaning and purpose. The hood that is on your laps now is meant to represent professional excellence, not only in terms of academic scholarship, which you've achieved, but also practice excellence, which enhances our professional services to clients, organizations, and communities. The hood represents openness and transparency in your relationship with people, as opposed to the hood being used to conceal or disguise. The hood represents a commitment to our professional values of service, social justice, the promotion of the dignity of the person, and the enhancement of human relationships in a spirit of integrity and competency. It represents equality, for we are no longer in a student-teacher relationship, but now we are colleagues in the pursuit of justice. And finally, the hood represents celebration, affirming life with all its challenges and opportunities, and bringing a sense of hope, represented by the color of citron, to those who need reasons to celebrate. So as you come forward in a few minutes to be hooded, you make a public commitment to these values and attitudes and become with us mastered prepared professionals who are in pursuit of justice. By accepting this hood this morning, you are accepting the responsibility associated with professional social work practice. Because of this, the hooding ceremony is not just a symbolic experience steeped in tradition, but rather this ceremony becomes life-giving as we all move forward in our lives, in our careers, to be servants of justice, advocates for more just conditions, and become healers, restoring hope among those who feel broken. Certainly the times that you begin your postmaster's career in the profession and in our country are certainly challenging times. In the midst of allegations of all kinds of fake news, the Q, collusion, and justifying massive tax cuts for the well-to-do, while at the same time talking about the need to reduce social spending, we can sometimes feel like we need some anchors to ground us as we try to live out this call to justice. So I'd like to leave you with 4 anchors to consider as you move forward amidst these challenging times. The first one, and a couple of these will sound familiar, live in the here and now. Living in the here and now has to be the beginning point of our work. Living in the here and now allows us to be truly present to those that approach us in their need. It provides the opportunity to hear and observe the reality of their situation and ours, reducing the risk of bias and allowing a sense of partnership to develop between us. That's the first anchor. The second, be hopeful. This partnership between you and those that seek your services allows for the installation of hope to develop and reach fruition. As Yalom states, the installation of hope allows those seeking our assistance to develop trust and a belief that things can be better than the reality the situation suggests. In turn, both we and those who we serve can move beyond the here and now and envision a future that is more just, more beneficial, and more enjoyable. The third anchor, be patient. This may be the key anchor. To effectively live in the here and now, in the context of hope, requires us to be patient with those whom we work with, as well as ourselves, realizing that all of us are on a journey that takes us on detours, it has its ups and downs, and it takes us to unexpected places. However, our journeys, no matter what path it puts us on, provides opportunity for growth for all of us. Patience allows us to enjoy the journey and learn from it rather than trying to control it. And finally, be authentic. Always remember, as you become change agents, the words of Gandhi, who said that we must be the change we wish to see in the world. Bringing about change is not so much about doing something as it is about being someone. And being someone requires authenticity. And based on our time together this past year or years, I have no doubt that all of you will serve others well, that you will advocate for those in need, even at great personal cost, and will heal and create a better world than the world you now enter as MSWs. This is a group that I know will shake things up, rattle things out, and I encourage you to go for it. The times demand nothing less. So in closing, I'd like to wish all of you every good thing as you leave us, and remember that we are here to support you in your futures and opportunities and your many future accomplishments that we look forward to hearing about. So take care, enjoy the day. Monday, get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flanagan. For those of you who don't know, starting tomorrow or Monday, Dr. Flanagan will be the MSW director. And so we are excited to have that transition. And so we thank you for fulfilling that role. And on that same note, Professor Kitko will become the BSSW director. So we're seeing some shaking up and changes, and it's going to be all good. So congratulations to both of you, and thank you for being willing to be leaders in our department. So our next speaker was identified by her peers to represent them on the stage here today. So we'll ask Haley Thorson Chandran to come forward and speak to all of us.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming to celebrate our accomplishments, as this is a major milestone in our personal and professional journeys. I've been asked to say a few words on behalf of my fellow MSW graduates. I had always assumed that by the time graduation day rolled around, I would have passed every last academic test. It turns out I have one final test: public speaking. It's not one of my strong suits, but I'm extremely honored to speak on behalf of my cohort, as I feel there's something very unique and special about the relationships we had formed with one another this past year. I would like to start by thanking all of our family and friends. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for supporting us. But most of all, thank you for dealing with us this past year, because it's not always easy. You have all been instrumental in our journeys. Without all of you in our corners, we probably wouldn't have made it this far. So from all of us, thank you. I'd also like to thank the social work department and our professors. Thank you for being dedicated and passionate about our learning. You have all invested much of yourselves into our professional growth and have helped shape us into the social workers we are today. You provided structure to our learning through lectures, assignments, and countless research papers, but also allowed ample flexibility to explore issues and topics that we were passionate about as students. You let us spend entire class periods on off-topic discussions, though sometimes it meant throwing out the lesson plans you had for us that day. So thank you for letting us ramble off-topic, because it often led to the most memorable and meaningful discussions we had as students. You often encourage us to forget about the grade and focus on what we hope to get out of each assignment. I think it's fair to say that went in one ear and out the other. So thank you for being patient as we bombarded you with questions and frantic emails about assignments and grades. 20 years from now, it will not be the grade you gave us that mattered, but the lessons you taught us through meaningful class discussions, leadership, and sharing your own personal experiences. Lastly, I'd like to celebrate my fellow classmates and social workers. Our journey as classmates began when we received our acceptance letters to the MSW program at the University of North Dakota. This was a proud moment for us because we were a part of the small group of applicants to be accepted into the program. We felt a flood of emotions when we read that letter. We were relieved, excited, and a little terrified of what we may have just gotten ourselves into. On the first day, we walked into the classroom not knowing what to expect and picked out a desk, preferably one where we could online shop without the professors noticing. But as we looked around at one another, it was apparent that this was a very diverse group. We were different ages in different stages of our lives. Some had come straight out of their undergraduate studies, while others were more experienced in their careers. Despite these differences, we were able to contribute to one another's professional growth. These differences allowed us to learn from one another by challenging us to see things from a different perspective. In hindsight, I don't think any of us anticipated the level of teamwork and camaraderie that would develop over a course of a year. We've supported each other this past year. In fact, we created a Facebook group solely for that purpose. If I had to paraphrase our conversations, I'd say about 90% of the posts went something like this. Hey, when's that assignment due? Has anyone done that assignment yet? And if so, please tell me how to do it. The most common response to that was, wait, we had an assignment? On top of supporting one another, we've also practiced self-care together, oftentimes in the form of happy hour and greasy food, because sometimes deep breathing just doesn't cut it. This program has challenged us academically, professionally, and personally. Many of my classmates completed their master's degree while also raising children, managing their households, and continuing to work their jobs. That takes tremendous dedication and strength, as well as a bit of insanity, but it should not go unnoticed. Our time as classmates has come to an end, but our journey has not. Many of us will run into each other in the field. Some may even become colleagues. Others will move across the country and possibly the globe. Regardless of where our lives and careers take us, I am confident that if I were to call any one of you with an issue at work or a client, you would be there to provide guidance and support. Some might say that's rare, and in some ways it is, but it's also something that comes with the job description as social workers. Regardless of where our career paths take us, we will always be social workers at heart. The values and philosophies of the profession are deeply ingrained in us and will guide every action we undertake and every challenge we face. As social workers, we see the oppression and social inequities that others cannot or simply ignore. What's more is we step in and act, whether it's by educating others, working with marginalized populations, or advocating for policies at the legislative level. Some people call social workers superheroes. Granted, these people are probably social workers, but in many ways they are. But as with any superhero, we will all face many challenges. Our paychecks are unlikely to match the level of work we put in. The clients we help may not always appreciate us, nor will other providers in the community. Legislators will make decisions that have detrimental effects on our ability to serve our clients. And at times, we will be tired, frustrated, and a little bit defeated. When times like this occur, I'd like you to remember a quote by Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do. Our careers will challenge us in ways that few others could. That is why it's important to celebrate our successes, no matter how small, and accept the things we cannot control, no matter how big the issue may seem to us at the time. There is another quote by Mother Teresa I'd like to share. We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. Sometimes our clients' challenges will be so great that we feel helpless in our efforts to facilitate meaningful change. However, we must not forget that simply listening and showing someone you genuinely care can have the biggest impact on a person's life. So again, thank you to everyone who has been by our sides and guided us to this very moment. From this point on, we put all that we've learned into practice, but that can wait because today is about celebrating all of our hard work and success. So congratulations, everyone, we did it.
Thank you, Haley, and congratulations for stepping into your discomfort. Let that be a role model for all of your peers, that there will be much discomfort as you go forward. And the rewards are high. And so challenge yourself to not hide in what's comfortable for you, but be willing to take that step out. And that's when the highest rewards do come. And so I challenge you to use her as an example and step into your discomfort. So the next part of our program is the fun part. It's when we actually get to hood each of you and acknowledge your hard work through your independent study. For those of you who might not know, we started a new model this year of independent study and made it into a class. And so that's been interesting, and we'll be interested to get feedback from each of you about how that went, and I'm hoping that that you've already been able to give some feedback about that, because we're going forward with the model. So hopefully you told us it worked. So what we will do next is we will introduce each of you, and we'll have the candidates come up here, and I will announce the title of your independent study, and your advisor will place your hood on you. We'll ask faculty to come up. Once you've been hooded, oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead and come up. I'll talk while you're walking. Once you've been hooded, stand right here for pictures. It's okay. Go ahead. This is a family event, so don't hesitate to come up here and stand with your camera and embarrass them. Okay, you've earned that right. So just go right ahead and do that. Don't even hesitate. So once you've gotten your hood and your pictures are done, please walk the gauntlet and shake the faculty's hand, because we are very proud of you and we'd like to congratulate you. Okay, so we'll start with Jamie Azure. Jamie's independent study was how to be an effective Indian child welfare worker. Randy Nedegard was her advisor, and she's being hooded by Stephanie Homestead. Congratulations. Our next candidate is a distance student who was unable to be here today. Her name is Jennifer Cole. Hello, Jennifer. Her independent study was Adolescent Suicide and Social Emotional Learning, a plan to instill resiliency in Roseau Elementary School students. And her advisor was Dr. Brett Weber. So we get a virtual hooding. Our next candidate is Alexa Dixon. I'm sorry, what? Oh. Her title was Incarceration and Homelessness, a Revolving Door. Her advisor was Dr. Brett Weber. Oh, wait, she wants a picture. We want more pictures. Oh. Photo op. Embarrassment's not over. Congratulations. Thank you. Next is Delaney Fitzik. Her independent study was entitled Proposal for Program Evaluation, and in Randy's absence, she's asked Angie Muse to hood her. Photo op, we got it? Congratulations. Thank you. Our next candidate is James Garrettson. He's from He's from Salt Lake City, Utah, and was not able to be here today. His title was Implications of Compassion Fatigue on Social Work Practice. Interestingly enough, I talked to him as he was finishing this, and he said, I think I've got it. I think compassion fatigue has hit me. His advisor was Vince Lindgren. By the way, it's an easy thing to get. So it's a good thing we have lots of resources to help us through all of that.
And say hi to James' mom.
Oh, yes, James's mom. Hey, James's mom. We met James's mom in some other state at a conference, and she stood up and said, we were presenting, and she stood up and said, you got to go to this program. It's awesome. I'm standing over his shoulder watching the classes. One of our best recruiters. So our next candidate is Misty Hutton. Her title was Burnout Prevention in Child Welfare, and in Randy's absence, Barb Kitco is going to hood her. Congratulations. Lucas Mitzel, the Child and Adolescent Needs and Strengths Assessment, CANS, a qualitative look at efficacy of the CANS in a PRTF setting. And PRTF is?
Psychiatric Residential Treatment Facility.
There you go. We have our own language. And in Andrew's absence, Ken is going to hood him. Jessica Nelson, the whole health of the veteran. And in Randy's absence, Barbara Kitco is going to hood her. Congratulations. Unable to be here today, another of our distant students, Stephanie Poitra. Her title was Bridging the Gap, Healing ICWA, Indian Child Welfare Act, and Child Welfare Practices in North Dakota. And her advisor was Dr. Karen Lee Barkdale. Congratulations, Stephanie. Virtual. Megan Price. Education and Preventing Sexual and Domestic Violence. And in Randy's absence, she gets to be hooded by her sister, Dr. Jackie Hofarth, or soon to be Dr. Jackie Hofarth.
One more for good.
How cool is that? Congratulations. Kara Schuster, Evaluation of Suicide Risk Assessment in Long-Term Care. And in Randy's absence, she's being hooded by Ken. Lineup of photographers. Congratulations. Allison Schwab, the impact of domestic violence on the victim's attachment to romantic partners in rural communities. Her advisor was Yiping Shea, and she'll be hooded today by Barbara Kitco.
Congratulations to you.
Barb, stay right here on the end.
Thank you.
Chelsea Stitka, the University of North Dakota Child Welfare Scholars' perceived level of preparedness to enter the child welfare workforce. And in lieu of Randy, Barbara Kitco will also hood her. Congratulations, Chelsea. Haley Thorson Chartrand, an interview framework for the evaluation of sexual revictimization programs. And in Andrew's absence, Jackie Hofarth will hood her. They are not sisters. In spirit, that's right. They're social work sisters. And last but not least, Mason Ways was unable to be here today. His title was Online Resources and the Transgender Community, and his advisor was Dr. Andrew Quinn. Congratulations, Mason. As Dr. Barkdahl mentioned, we're very proud of you. Please stand up and acknowledge our graduates today, all hooded. Thank you. This concludes our program for the day. We'd like to ask the graduates to remain in the room so that we can take a couple of pictures of you as a group. And all of you, we have refreshments next door, so please feel free to go and have a little something to eat and some coffee and some juice and those kinds of things. And congratulations. Graduation, for those of you attending, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.